marinades are one way to elevate the flavor, tenderness, and overall deliciousness of many different types of meat. I'm going to show you how to create a simple marinade of an Asian profile, kind of my spin on a Korean dish, bulgogi, which is grilled meats, just using a few simple ingredients, nothing fancy, and show you how easy it can be to elevate that flavor. I'm going to start with just tamari soy sauce. It is a wheat-free version if you're avoiding wheat, but again, if you're trying to stay away from soy products in general, you might want to try an alternative. Coconut aminos is a good option. I've never tried it, but that's one thing that you can maybe look into to substitute for regular soy sauce. But this is just tamari soy sauce. I'm going with about 1/3 of a cup right into a dish that I'm going to use to marinate the meat. I'm going to add maybe a couple tablespoons of sesame oil, toasted sesame oil, if you don't have any sesame sensitivities. A couple tablespoons of rice vinegar. Again, this is going to add a little more acidity, which also helps to tenderize the meat and helps the flavor profile overall. I've got some ground black pepper. We'll probably just go in with about a teaspoon of that. Onion granules, more flavor right there. We're going to go with about 2 teaspoons. Again, you can omit any of these if you don't have them. The important key is going to be mainly your soy and your liquids to actually cover the meat. I've got some garlic powder, and we'll go with about 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder. Chilies, I'm just going to eyeball about 1/4 teaspoon. Depends how spicy you want it. I like hot. And we'll also throw in 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. Additionally to my liquids, a lot of Korean bulgogi recipes call for some sugar, and a lot of Asian style marinades in general will call for sugar. I like to just use the natural sweetness in a lot of ingredients, so I like to substitute orange juice quite often for additional, and instead of the brown sugar or agave or honey or anything like that. So I've added the zest. If you don't have a zester, you can also just use a microplane or a little grater. If you don't want to add the zest at all, you don't have to. It just has a lot of good essential oils that add to the flavor. And then I'm just going to cut the orange right in half and squeeze the juice right in there. So we've got our orange juiced in here. We've got our dry seasonings mixed in. Got that one little piece in there. And then last we're going to add, of our wet ingredients, we're going to add a little bit of tomato paste, just about a tablespoon of tomato concentrate. Again, that's going to add to that umami flavor, which is a nice savory deliciousness. Mix that all around. And before we add our steak, I've got a few more components. We've got lemongrass. In order to use this lemongrass, this is just a heart of lemongrass. I'm going to cut it right in half and just bruise it with the back of my knife. I don't need to mince it up. I don't need to, we're not actually going to be eating it. We'll remove it from the marinade, or we'll remove the steak. So bruising it with your knife helps release some of the essential oils. So it'll contribute to the flavor, but we won't have lots of little pieces. And a couple big cloves of garlic. I'm also just going to smash those with my knife. I love aggressive cooking, or again, not cooking quite yet, but once you crush it with your knife, it kind of breaks up into some little pieces, so just add those right in there. And ginger. I've already peeled this. It's about 2-inch piece of ginger. You can chop it up if you want. I find it's also nice to just grate it right on in there using a fine grater. Whoops. Try to hold on to it and not grate your fingers in the process. That's the tricky part, so pay attention. These things can be sharp and dangerous. So we've added our ginger. And a little extra heat is always good. So I've got a couple Thai chilies. And I'm just going to slice them up nice and small. One red, one green. Doesn't really matter. Be mindful if you're slicing chilies not to touch your face. Some people like to handle them with gloves. Just be careful. It will burn your eyes if you get it in your eyes. And lastly, I'm going to take just a few stems of coriander or cilantro. I'll save the leaves for when I'm actually serving it, but right now this is a good way to just get some of the flavor out of these, and I'm just going to break them right in to my dish, and that's it. I've got my lemongrass, my ginger, my garlic, my chilies, all the other ingredients right in here, and now I'm just going to put down my big sirloin steak. It's a nice big fat piece of meat. And just toss it to coat. Let it marinate in the refrigerator. You want to cover it, put it in the refrigerator for at least 2 to 4 hours, but you can marinate a nice cut of meat like this for up to 24 hours. So if you want to put it in before you go to work, cook it off when you get home at night, that's a one really good way to use that time. So here we go. We've got the meat nice and covered. Into the fridge it goes, and we'll be back later to cook it up.